in the Bible, the genocide, the homophobia, the killing of homosexuals and non-virgins and people who pick up sticks on the Sabbath, they have defenses for these things. There's no thought in their head to say, you know what, this was just evil and wrong. Here's why it was okay that God did this and God did that. And you start to realize otherwise sane, good, and decent people can be turned into, I don't want to say raving lunatics because they're not, but they are possessed by dogma to the extent that they can no longer freely think about these things in a moral way. And in fact, hold on, I wanted to read this because I did an interview recently with someone asking me, their question started out, I should have read the rest of the interview because I don't think they meant to be hostile towards me, but it sounded like it at first. The question was, you have chosen to present the character of God, Mr. Deity, as not that bright, intelligent or rational. Was it your way to criticize God as well as his believers who choose to believe in things that aren't always rational and logical? Was this your original intention and theme of the show? Would you characterize the message of the show as a subversive criticism? Is this what you want the audience to understand from the contents of the show? And I just liked my response so much that I just want to read it to you instead of tell you. It's a bit long, but I think it makes the point. I didn't really make a conscious decision to present the character of God in any particular manner. Mr. Deity began as a short skit I was moved to write after the Asian tsunami in 2004. Fans now know that skit as episode 1, Mr. Deity and the Evil. When I wrote it, it was basically just an argument with God. Why, with all the gratuitous suffering going on in the world, would a good and loving God allow natural disasters? If we had never known natural disasters, it would in no way compromise our free will or put God in a theologically difficult position. It would just be another awful thing that doesn't happen. Don't imagine, like the ability to harm each other with our thoughts. In that episode, God doesn't really look unintelligent or irrational. He just looks capricious and uncaring. When we started doing these skits as Mr. Deity, I began to realize that if there was a God, these are questions God himself had to ask and decisions which at some point God had to decide, allowing natural disasters, childhood cancer, Celine Dion, etc. In essence, Mr. Deity is my attempt to give God some plausible explanation for all the things about which we have questions, but the only answers I can honestly come up with are humorous, ironic, or downright pathetic. Aside from that, my attempt was to be true, at least in some humorous or ironic way, to the character portrayed in the Bible. Because people don't actually read the Bible, but have it disseminated to them from the pulpit and taught what to think about those inconvenient passages rather than thinking about it for themselves, people have forgotten what an ugly portrait the Bible paints. In the West, and particularly in America, the character of God has had some major PR work done. He has been whitewashed squeaky clean. Christians in America even call this a Christian nation, completely forgetting that the people who came here to America were originally coming here to escape other Christian nations, or that the Bill of Rights is an outright rejection of Christian tyranny. The secular state established here allowed people to forget that the Christian nations which dominated Europe for more than a millennium were virtually indistinguishable from the Afghanistan of the Taliban. There is no ideology on the planet which has advocated, let alone canonized, genocide, honor killings, the murder of homosexuals, etc., and still enjoys the respect of good and decent people. Only religion boasts such a complete lack of moral inquiry, examination, and accountability. Mr. Deity reminds people that for some of us, faith in a being who has committed genocide, the flood, ordered genocide, the conquest of Canaan, capitulated to the primal and barbarous demand for a human sacrifice, the crucifixion, and who is willing to turn a man's life into a living hell just to win a bet, the story of Job, is next to impossible. Given his extremely unflattering portrayal in the Bible depicting God as a slightly bubbling, entirely overwhelmed, and completely frustrated bureaucrat, as we do on Mr. Deity, is the only way to make that character lovable. And the comedy requires that the character be lovable. The traditional Judeo-Christian God is anything but. So...